How do we let go and free ourselves from the effects of negative emotion? We're going to talk about that today. This is Tom Kieran with the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Guys, I want to talk about how to let go of negative emotion. We talked in our last video about three mistakes that we're making. The idea that we're repressing or suppressing these emotions. We are expressing them, venting them, right, by attacking others and projecting them on others. Or we're escaping them, trying to escape them through addictions, through burying ourselves in work. Whatever those things are, they become addictions, right? Or not in the true sense of the word, but to be distracted from these negative emotions. So how do we do it? Well, this is according to David Hawkins, but really most spiritual teachers would be in agreement with David, and most talk about this idea of letting go and surrender. And even the psychotherapists and psychiatrists like David talk about surrender. So let's go to the first premise of this. The first premise is you are not your feelings. But how do you get there? How do you know this, right? Because it sure feels like you're your feelings, right? And so we're going to talk about this. Most of the time, why it doesn't work, why you can't suppress feelings, you can't bury them, because you're only trying to bury the effects. We're not getting at the cause. We've got to get at the cause. And these feelings that we repress, are all based on fear. They're all fear-based survival emotions. So whatever it is, whether it's anger, jealousy, hatred, they're all fear-based, and it all comes from this survival, fear-based sensation that we have, that we come from, right? We have learned to fear, that we have to cover, or we have to attack, and so this is where it's coming from. So what does he say? He says, feel the feeling, surrender to the feeling. A lot of spiritual teachers say this. What's the idea? If you fear it, don't fear it, don't resist it, don't condemn it, don't judge it, don't modify it, become the observer. We talked about this in terms of reality transferring, where you step out and become the observer, become the silent witness, is what even David says. Because what you resist persists, what you fear persists. If you condemn it, you give energy to it. If you judge it, you give energy to it. If you try to modify it or change it, you're giving energy to it. So what the idea is, these feelings are not you. So what resists persists. What you look at disappears. Once you look at it from an observer standpoint and know that it's not you, don't react to it. Remember, you establish a relationship to life. We've talked about this in a couple different contexts. The energy of these negative emotions dissipates. It goes away. This is the idea of feeling the feeling. Building on that, he talks about letting go of the fear or guilt about having the feelings in the first place. So there's not only the feeling of guilt and fear, it's the feeling of being guilty or fearful of having those feelings, right? You're guilty about feeling guilt. You're fearful about having fear, right? You're feeling guilty about having anger, for example. So you got to let go of those feelings as well, right? You feel guilty about even having the negative feelings. So those got to be let go, and those would be easier probably to let go in the first place. Let those go, right? Those are not you. Once you let those go, you can let you're looking at them, recognizing them, then being the observer, the energy dissipates. The other thing that David talks about, and it's a good one, is to ignore all the thoughts. Those feelings are going to generate endless thoughts. You guys know how this is, right? Once you get on a negative tide rate, there's all the thoughts, because we're all one, we're all connected in this universe by that energy, you start attracting all these sorts of thoughts come through your head. You've got to ignore those. Those are based on the feeling that you're feeling. So don't try to rationalize. The thoughts really, why do you think the thoughts? Because you're trying to rationalize, or your mind, not you, right? Not the real you, but your conscious mind is trying to rationalize these feelings. Why do I feel this way? And so all these thoughts start coming, but it's an endless pit. You can never get to the bottom of it. There's no bottom, right? So that's just your rational mind trying to rationalize these feelings. Why am I feeling this way? You're not going to get anywhere by analyzing the thoughts. You're just going to attract more thoughts and give more energy to that. Instead, stay focused on the feeling, not the thoughts, not trying to figure out why, right? The thoughts are the external effects. So you're not going to get there. We've got to get at the cause. The cause is the survival fear-based guilt, fear feelings, right? Don't try to beat up the external effects, right? You will not get anywhere by doing that. We'll get at the cause and then the effects go away. The fourth one, and the most powerful one, is let go of the attachment. Become the observer, as we talked about, the silent witness. It's an acceptance, right? Jesus said it. Be in the world, but not of it. Every great prophet, every great sage, every great spiritual teacher will say, will talk like that. That they are in the world, but not of it. They're observing. They're the silent witness. They're the observer. They do not let any outside effect affect their inner peace. And that's what external events are. That's what these feelings are. So we've got to, because we're associating with these feelings with something outside of ourselves. So once we let go, and it's a continual letting go, let them come and go without judging them, without resisting them. It's a tremendous amount of freedom. Once you stop condemning and judging yourself, remember, you're judging yourself through these feelings. These feelings are not you, right? They're this survival-based fear. And once you stop trying to change them, then you can let them go. Then they come and they go. But you, that observer, that steady, that unchanging witness, does not change. This is the power of letting go. This is the power of letting go of negative emotion, right? You can keep trying to dig up things and reasons for it, but the reasons for it are not necessarily the events. Those are events triggered a fear and a survival-based foundation that you had. And that all of those events, remember that we're all connected. So when we feel fear, we attract fear. When we feel anger, we attract more angry events. That's what's happening. Once you get at the cause, the root of it, then then let the love come up. Then you start attracting loving events. We're going to talk more about this when we talk more about attracting through the positive feelings. But this is the idea of letting go of negative emotion. Don't try to remember the thoughts. I've got to try to rationalize it, and that you've got to figure it out. And you're just going to get more thoughts and more thoughts. Oh, this event happened before that one. It's not the events, right? The events are just an effect of those feelings that you're having, right? It's the sponsoring thought is what, or the sponsoring feeling, I should say. Although Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh talk about it as a sponsoring thought. I'll call it the sponsoring feeling. The sponsoring feeling, the original feeling, is that fear. Everything comes from that. Everything comes from that. What we really are is love. We're not this stuff. So all of that other junk comes with it. And then events happen, right? Remember, we establish our relationship to the event. We talked about Viktor Frankl in a previous video, right? He went through literal hell, but then chose to see the gem in it, chose to see the light in it, chose to see attached his context to it. That's your power, that's your freedom to not let these feelings run rapid and then the thoughts run rapid with them. Feel the feeling. Let go of the fear or the guilt about even having the feelings. Ignore the thoughts. Focus, again, on the feeling, meaning let them be there. Don't try to resist them, condemn them, judge them, or modify them in any way. Let them be as they be. And then there's a total letting go of attachment. You become the observer. You don't get attached to these. This means don't get attached to anything in your life. You let it come and go. The good and the bad, or what you consider good and bad. This is the ultimate power. This is what Jesus talked about being in the world but not of it. The process of continually letting go. It's a continual letting go. In a way, it ties into a lot of stuff we've been talking about with Neville Goddard and A Course in Miracles. It absolutely does. It's like continual forgiveness, right? We talked about forgiveness in that way, in a much more spiritual sense, this is the same idea. That letting go is that, remember Jesus said, when Peter asked Jesus, how much should I forgive my brother who has sinned against me? 7? And Jesus said, no, 70 times 7. Continual forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. This is what this is about. Yeah, it's forgiveness for that fear, for that feeling. Once you get in that gratitude mode and that continual forgiveness, then the positive feelings emerge. The negative feelings dissipate. There's no more. You're not giving them any more energy. The reason we keep them alive, the reason we think we can't get rid of them, or we have setbacks, or whatever you want to call them, is because we continually give them energy. Once you don't give them energy, those positive ones come up, and then you can sit back as the observer, as a silent witness, and see those feelings for what they are. They're not you. They're not you. You're just love. Yeah. We'll talk more about this, guys. This is I'll leave a link below, of course, for David's book. This is Tom Kieran with the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Guys, don't forget to subscribe. We love subscribers. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And share and comment and like our videos. That's how we get our word out. That's how we get the message out. Okay? This is Tom with Be Something Wonderful. Until next time. Talk to you soon.